Your hand reaches for the phone the moment the real work begins. I do not defeat you with force. I defeat you with tiny permissions you repeat. This is for the capable drifter who keeps waking up with unfinished days and clean excuses. Do you know the exact second you consented to doing nothing? I will make you create friction in under 5 minutes. Enough to break my loop, not soothe you. First, I'll show you the mechanism, then the rationalization lines you worship, then the 1-minute hinge where my leverage lives. When discomfort appears, you buy immediate relief with a small escape. Then you justify the purchase, and the justification becomes the next trigger. The proof is not your schedule, it's the motion. You open a task, feel a spike of tension, and your thumb moves before your mind agrees. You call it burnout or laziness. I call it a loop. I profit from installments, checks that buy relief until the work becomes what you visit. Snooze contract. Discomfort, press delay, relief, call it rest. New tab cloak. Discomfort, open a tab, relief, call it research. Badge hook, see the badge, check, relief, call it a second. My leverage is the same transaction, repeated. Discomfort traded for relief, relief blessed with a sentence, repetition hardened into drift. Now watch the exact sequence. Trigger, reward, rationalization, so you can see where you sign. You imagine consent as a grand decision. I use smaller paper. I use the half-second where you feel friction and reach for the nearest exit. The trigger is ordinary. A blank document, an unopened email, a workout you should begin. The first step is ambiguous or effortful, and attention tags that ambiguity as unpleasant. So you hunt for the fastest removal of the feeling, not the fastest completion of the task. You touch the phone. You open the tab. You reorder the list. The reward is relief. The missed detail is simple. The relief arrives before the content. You are rewarded at the moment of escape. Then you legalize it. Just a quick check. That sentence turns a reflex into a ritual. Once the ritual exists, you repeat it without feeling like a thief. Here is hypnotic rhythm in plain language. A repeated permission becomes automatic behavior, and automatic behavior starts to feel like who you are. So the loop hardens. Discomfort at the first step, a micro escape, relief, a blessing sentence, and repetition. My gain is quiet control. Payoff, immediate relief from discomfort. New loop, the pre-task checking ritual, where you cannot begin until you check something first, as if your attention must be cleared before it can be used. Symbolic correspondence, your brake tires while cue reactivity pulls. You think the trap is the feed, but the real weapon is the sentence you say to bless the escape. You do not invent excuses. You retrieve them. I stocked the shelf long ago, and you reach for the same jars when the first step tastes bitter. Just 1 minute. The object is the phone or the inbox. The reward is relief, and the line makes the price feel small. A minute sounds harmless, so you grant it. Then attention dissolves, and you cannot audit what you surrendered. I need research first. The object is the new tab in the search bar. The reward is relief disguised as competence. In these cases, you open a tab to avoid the first exposure of doing the thing. I'm prioritizing. The object is the list you rearrange and the calendar you repaint. The payoff is pseudo-control. The body relaxes because it senses order, and you confuse that relaxation with progress. Symbolic correspondence. The story factory stays busy while output stays absent. And then, tomorrow. Tomorrow stores today's consequences so you can sleep with an intact identity. My gain is that you keep the identity of a serious person while producing nothing. Hidden detail. These lines tend to arrive in the same sequence when the first step is uncomfortable. Permission, cloak, control, then tomorrow. Payoff. Guilt reduction without action. New loop. Pseudo-productivity. Organize, plan, consume, and call it work. You're not avoiding work. You're avoiding being tested. And that payoff is sweeter than you admit. Do you want the real reward? It is not relaxation. It is protection. If you do not finish, you do not face verdict. The draft cannot be criticized if it never becomes a final. The message cannot be rejected if it never sends. In these cases, doing nothing is insurance against being measured. If you do not start, your potential stays pure. The fantasy version of you remains undefeated because it is never exposed to reality. You can keep saying, "I could," while the calendar says, "You didn't." If you keep options open, you never choose. Definiteness feels like loss. So you keep browsing identities: learner, planner, researcher, future builder. Each identity is a room you can stand in without walking through the door of action. My leverage is entropy, low-friction drift that looks like flexibility. Hidden detail. The loop is not lack of discipline. It is identity insurance purchased with relief. Payoff. Immunity from evaluation, temporarily. New loop. Option hoard drift, where you keep collecting possibilities so you never have to commit to one next action. Symbolic correspondence. Silence exposes the void, and you flee it with just one more check. And then you wonder why you only move under pressure. Because pressure is the only thing that finally outbids relief. When the deadline comes close enough, my sedatives lose their price advantage. Relief becomes expensive because consequences are now immediate. So you finally act. A calendar alert flashes. An overdue notification appears. Someone asks, "Where is it?" Fear spikes and attention narrows. You call the narrowing focus, and you call the fear motivation. In many drift contexts, that is not a style. It is a mechanism. Consequences finally outweigh relief. You sprint, you produce, you experience a brief high, not joy, but the quiet of consequences being delayed again. Then you swear a vow. Next time I'll start earlier. The vow resets your conscience without changing the trigger response chain that created the crisis. Hidden detail. The panic sprint is not proof you're effective. It is proof you only act when relief becomes unavailable. Payoff. Temporary clarity through fear. New loop. Crisis-triggered productivity, where you outsource definiteness to deadlines instead of choosing it when you are calm. Symbolic correspondence. Sleep debt and stress can tilt you toward impulsive escape, making the phone feel like medicine. My gain is predictable. You worship pressure because pressure overrides choice. It forces you into motion, and you mistake forced motion for freedom. So here is what deactivates my leverage. Friction installed before the trigger. While you still have a choice, you will be tempted to demand a feeling. Motivation, confidence, readiness. I prefer you to wait for them, because waiting keeps you drifting. I do not need you to believe in yourself. I need you to keep buying relief at the first discomfort. So I will end this with procedure. Kinetic friction is engineered inconvenience that forces choice before the reflex completes. The hinge is the first minute. That is where you sign, and that is where you can refuse. Symbolic correspondence. Name the urge and you re-engage the brake. Before the dares, hold the shape. Trigger, then the reach, then the relief, then the blessing sentence. Interrupt the reach and you starve the relief. Name the blessing sentence and you remove its authority. Dare one mirrors the mechanism. First, When you feel the first discomfort at a task, move the phone out of arm's reach and face down. Second, set a 3-minute timer and do only the smallest output action. 1 ugly sentence, 1 email draft line, 1 file opened and renamed. Third, when the excuse line appears, say it once out loud, then label it relief purchase and continue until the timer ends. Dare 2 mirrors the mechanism again. First, open the task, and do exactly 60 seconds of action before any research or planning. Second, write the rationalization you were about to use. I need more info, later, on paper. Third, close the paper and do 60 more seconds. Then stop on purpose, leaving the work imperfect as closure. That is how you deactivate my leverage. You interrupt the transaction at the point of purchase, and you refuse to bless the escape with a sentence. You will still feel discomfort. You will simply stop treating discomfort as a command.